The Kilo 141 versus the CR56 Amax. These two guns have always been top tier weapons, and after the dust has settled, it's these two weapons that I find myself using. I've always been a huge fan of the Kilo. It was the first gun that I ever used in Warzone, and right before the Cold War integration, it was my gun of choice. However, recently, I have found my love of the Amax. Even after its tiny nerf, this gun is one of the best guns in the game. It has an insane time to kill, very manageable recoil, and you can move around pretty quickly with it as well. A lot of my versus videos are because I try to follow trends, but this one came from the heart. I wanted to truly know which was better, the Kilo 141 or the CR56 Amax. Now, there isn't a good thing that I haven't said about both of these weapons. The Kilo is a laser beam. It has virtually no recoil and it has pretty high damage. It's not an Odin or anything, but it's also nothing to scoff at. The Amax, on the other hand, is like the yin to the Kilo's yang. It sacrifices its recoil by a little bit and makes up for it with damage output. Now, that's not saying that the recoil of the Amax is atrocious. Its recoil is extremely manageable. However, if you start to miss shots, that's where this gun will punish you. And that is because of the RPM. The RPM of the Amax is about 630, whereas the Kilo has an RPM of roughly 750. This means that if you are prone to missing shots, the Kilo will be much more forgiving. The ADS of the Kilo is also very slightly faster. This isn't really something you will generally notice all that much, especially if you're playing on console, and that's just because it will only be maybe a frame or two faster than the ADS of the Amax. Everything else is pretty much equal except for a few minor things here, like movement speed and reload time that all go to the Amax. These aren't huge differences. Much like the faster ADS of the Kilo, you aren't likely to notice these, but they are there, so I definitely think that they're worth noting. One thing that is actually quite substantial though is the faster bullet velocity of the Kilo. This is significantly faster by over 30%. That's insane. You will definitely notice that difference. It's nothing that you can't get used to, but just know that if you're switching between these guns, you will notice the different bullet velocities. Now, let's take a look at some graphs. I'm gonna show these on screen for about 5 seconds each because there are a bunch of them, and honestly, I don't want you to get bored. So if you wanna pause or scrub through them a few times so you can understand what you're looking at, then be my guest. I will be explaining them as well as I can. For the sake of simplicity, I have not included ADS time into every graph. Here's the difference between chest shot with and without ADS time included. As you can see, virtually the same. Now, this is where things get interesting though. The Kilo has 2 damage multipliers and the Amax has 3. The Kilo hits for 42 damage in the head and 28 damage in the chest, stomach, and extremities, arms and legs. The Amax hits for 56 in the head, 42 in the chest, and 35 in the stomach and extremities. This means when talking about the closest range, depending on where you hit your shots most of the time, the Kilo may actually kill faster than the Amax. Now, if you can aim very well up close, meaning that you can hit chest and head shots, then the Amax will definitely kill faster, hands down. However, if you miss your shots and end up mostly hitting the arms and stomach area, then the Kilo will kill faster. Now, after 87 meters, the Kilo's damage actually drops off pretty significantly, but there is a moment in a very specific use case that the Kilo actually outperforms the Amax by a very large metric. I will say that this is only if you don't hit your shots, but it's all the way to 50 meters, which is very far. It's like medium range. However, if you do hit your shots, the Amax is more powerful over the long haul. Even if you only hit the leg, after 80 meters, the Kilo is basically a potato gun. It can take more than a second to down a fully plated opponent, which is literally insane. That is ridiculously long. You could easily get sniped in that time. Now, let's take a look at the recoil test. If you've been here on my channel before, then you know these recoil patterns like the back of your hand. The Kilo is a clear winner in this test. However, I must make an honorable mention of the Amax. In most Call of Duty games, recoil generally moves up and to the right. So if you've never encountered the left-leaning recoil, then the Amax might actually be more comfortable for you to control. Obviously, the more you practice, you won't really notice the left-leaning recoil, but if you do decide to switch between these guns at all, then you will definitely notice the difference. Trust me on that. I did that a few times. Now, on to my personal favorite segment, my feelings. I love the Kilo. It was my first love with Warzone. It's like old reliable to me. I will forever cherish my memories with the Kilo. But the Amax it feels fresh for me, you know? If you've been using it for a while, then you probably will not be able to relate to that, but it just hits different, you know? I think that there's a place for both of these weapons in the meta, where the Amax dwindles, the Kilo shines, and vice versa. I believe them to be just as good as the other, so if you're looking for something new that hits as hard as your favorite gun, then use the opposite one. It seems like the Kilo is best for extreme long range, even though it's high time to kill. It has virtually no recoil and very fast bullet velocity. However, if you can predict the recoil and bullet velocity, the Amax can also hit those shots. In my eyes, I see the Kilo as the gun that anybody can pick up and use. It does not take a lot of skill to master, and if you find yourself struggling, use this gun and you will definitely start to perform. The Amax, however, is the gun that takes a little bit more to get used to, but will reward you for it. If you promise the Amax you will hit your shots, then it's gonna kill them faster. Use the Kilo when you're having a bad day, and use the Amax when you're cracked out. Guys, if you liked the video, like the video. If you loved the video, subscribe down below, and let me know in the comments section what your favorite gun is, and join my Discord. I would love to do a full sub lobby on Warzone one day. It sounds like the coolest thing ever. Anyway, peace out.